Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let's call ourselves to order. Open session of the West Newbury. This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on local cable channels and on the internet. First thing I'd like to do is announcement. We have some good news. We are pleased to welcome Angus Jennings, who will join the town of West Newbury on July 1st in the position of town manager. Mr. Jennings, a Massachusetts native, will be the chief operating and administrator officer of the town. He will supervise town departments and direct the town's day-to-day affairs. He is also the chief financial officer, responsible for all financial matters, including the creation and implementation of the town's operating budget. Mr. Jennings brings a wealth of experience, which makes him especially well-suited for this important role. He has over 20 years of progressive municipal governmental experience. His municipal career began as a planning assistant in the city of Baltimore, and after many advancements, including more than 15 years working in municipal government in Massachusetts. He presently serves as the town manager and treasurer of Hamden, Maine. His skill set, demeanor, work ethic, and professional integrity will be assets to our community. Throughout his career, he has worked on the leading edge of public policy and has successfully managed projects of extraordinary policy complexity and political sensitivity. His collaborative, transparent approach to governance and deep commitment to public interest outcomes will make him an effective and trusted town manager. Mr. Jennings holds a bachelor's degree from Trinity College in Hartford and a Master of Regional Planning degree from Cornell University in Ithaca. Please join us in welcoming Angus to West Newbury. Thank you.
Obviously, we finally finalized this on Saturday, Angus. I just again want to thank the townspeople, the search committee, the employees, and everybody that was involved in this. I think this is a great positive step for West Newbury. I think we have a good candidate that's going to take us into the future. But I think it might be important just to ask the very important question, because everybody will ask this, so we just get it out there. Why is he starting July 1st?
Mr. Jennings he wanted to do good faith with his existing town in Maine now. The budget cycle is in sort of a part where he felt he would be leaving the town in the lurch if he left, soon before their sort of crucial budget cycle, which is in June. So he's going to be leaving in starting here July 1st because of that reason. I feel that we're getting someone who's committed to his existing job, but doesn't want to. I think it's a positive. He's concerned about his present employer, so he's not leaving them in the lurch, and we feel okay about that and good about that, because and I hope it shows his character, and it's going to be that way when he's here.
Perfect. That's the primary reason. Also, the simple just moving from Maine Central to
Yep. And it's a good point. It's a good thing that we're taking over. He'll be familiar with our new fiscal budget, and it'll be kind of a fresh budget that then he will be managing. I think it all fits.
And the oxen can't really get out of Maine yet.
Until the snow melts. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Archie.
And I think I speak for the whole board. We're excited about Angus. It's going to be excellent. Yes. First item on the agenda is a continuation of the lodging house application for 15 Norino Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me just congratulate the board on picking Mr. Jennings. He's got a very good reputation in Massachusetts, and so West Newbury will certainly be well-served, as I'm sure you figured out.
Well, thank you.
Lisa Mead on behalf of the applicants. And at the last meeting, the board asked for a number of things in writing and to be added to our package. So we last met on January 22nd, and following that, I submitted to the board 6 things, or 6 answers anyway. The first was that an affirmation that the application and cover letter were correct and that there are 4 lodging room and 8 lodgers. Again, the affirmation that the lodgers will all park on the property at 15 Norino Drive. I provided the house rules as part of my submission to you. An affirmation that the applicants will live in the attached unit. You know, it's a 2-family, as we discussed before. They're going to live in the smaller of the 2 units while they were letting the rooms. Number 5, the affirmation that they provide breakfast that does not require cooking. Essentially, everything is prepackaged and prepared, pre-prepared, and that has been reviewed by the Hodgsons with the Director of Health. And then 6, you requested a guest registry, and of course your regulations say you have a form of guest registry, but we put one together and provided it. And you'll note that there are actually 2 guest registries. One is a public one, and one is not public, and that's in accordance with your regulations and actually the state statute. So you'll see the one has a list that includes a room number, and that is not available by the public. That is kept private, but the town gets to see that. The town gets to see both of these. And then the other is the regular guest registry that's filled in. But you wouldn't, you know, if there's a room identification, you wouldn't want to put that on the registry. So that's what we provided. And we would request that the board approve the licenses having been completely submitted and the character and requirements of the lodging house application are met in full.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to deny this application under 105 CMR, and we could present this with you, Council, if you'd like. State Sanitary Code, Chapter 10. Wanting to have 4 lodging rooms on this application, and this is why I would like to deny this application, makes this a bed and breakfast establishment under 105 CMR 590.202. As a bed and breakfast establishment, the property is considered a food establishment, again, under 105 CMR 590.002. And such an establishment set forth the code such as 105 CMR, again, A2, each food establishment shall employ at least 1 full-time equivalent FTE person in charge who shall be on-site manager or supervisor and is at least 18 years of old, who is being certified a food projection manager and shown proficiency of required information through passing tests. That is part of an accreditation program recognized by the department. There are other special requirements that this application would have to meet because they're, and would you like me to go on, or do you want me to just cite the statutes?
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay. So there is during discussion, there is a distinction when you're asking for 4 rooms. And that's what this application is asking for. This makes it a bed and breakfast establishment, and there are certain health code things that they have to follow, and certain procedures that are in the house that they have to follow, as in that I'll give you an example. that, that the guests cannot use the kitchen in their application, is saying the guests are going to use the kitchen. And they have to have a licensed kitchen and so forth and so on. So it's pretty extensive. I would actually ask that we do it under that, and then we write up a decision and then send it to the applicant at a later date.
Further discussion?
No.
I would also note that unrelated, but I went on several bed and breakfast internet apps over the weekend, and this particular property was listed on all of them, including Airbnb, HomeAway, a couple of other ones. And this property was listed each time as having the capability of 12 lodgers. And these were not old. These were, like I said, did it over the weekend. And I have them, if anyone doubts me, I have it on my phone. We can look it up, but the dates are on there. And just saying. So that would be sort of incongruous with what the applicant is asking for. Further discussion? All in favor of the denial? Aye.
I would ask that our council write up our response to the application and then submit it to the board at our next meeting for approval.
As a formality, I presume the vote's tonight, but the approval is a formality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a brief update from the Bicentennial Committee.
Did you give them a different? Are they here? Did you give her a time?
Mr. Chairman, I'd request we skip over that item.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Just to see if anybody's in the hall.
Okay, the next item is a request for a one-day liquor license for the West Newbury Riding and Driving Club. Hi.
I didn't know somebody came in.
Oh, yes.
Great.
Catherine Marone.
So Catherine, you're here. Just give us a couple of sentences on what's happening, how many people you would anticipate, that kind of thing.
The West Newbury Riding and Driving Club has an annual potluck dinner that we've held, I think, for the past 20 some odd years at the Annex. And we just hope to do the same thing. We offer, for no charge, beer and wine to go along with the potluck.
So there's no sale.
There's no sale of liquor.
Okay.
So this is because there's alcohol on town limits.
Correct.
Correct.
And how many people approximately?
Yeah.
You think might attend? Approximately.
In the past, we've had about 50. Where, yes.
Okay. I noticed on the application, all the police chief requires a detail officer and the fire chief.
Yeah, we've never had to do that before. It's, yes, every single time.
You were, how do I try to say it? We just let you do it.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, we did change some policies and so forth and so on our use of facilities forms, but it was always.
We just didn't know it, and it
And
wasn't.
it just wasn't enforced.
Okay.
And nobody we're trying to tighten up on everything.
All right.
This was
So
always-
this year we need a police detail, is that my understanding?
Correct.
Police and fire.
The fire goes back, it's a state statute that goes back to, I think it was the nightclub that got on fire that didn't have sprinklers.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime there's alcohol being served, where it's not a sprinklered room or something like that, you have to have a fire detail. Fire watch, I'm sorry, it's called a fire watch.
So how do I find out how much that costs? Because we're a nonprofit and
You
run
would
a
go
pretty tight
to
budget.
the fire chief and the police chief,
Okay.
because then you would give him, both of him, so you would give them an estimated time of your function,
Mhm.
and then they would give you an estimate, probably a pretty good one, of how much it would cost you.
Wonderful.
That's what groups, nonprofits have done in the past.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would make a motion to grant this one-day liquor license for the West Newbury Riding and Driving Club, March 10th, 2018,
From approximately 6:30 to 10.
and with making sure that they follow all the stipulations set forth in the application.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Next item is a resident petition to amend zoning bylaw 5G.
I'm not a public speaker and I'm not an attorney.
Can
I'm
you
just a
make
resident.
sure, though, that that microphone is right up near your mouth?
It's not for us, it's for the recording.
Sure, I
Yeah.
understand. And
We'll go very easy.
thank you very much. I do have prepared statements just in case I lose my train of thought.
Okay.
My name is Rose Viteri. I live at 54 Coffin Street. And tonight I submitted for your review 2 proposals for a zoning bylaw amendments to Section 5G, which designates large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic overlay districts. Upon review of the bylaw, I identified a need to protect the interests of residents and property owners by proposing 2 changes. The first is for a fully surveyed layout of the system to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen or the Planning Board before the town is asked to approve a solar overlay district. I felt that it was important to have this information available to residents prior to a town vote in order to have a better understanding of the proposed solar installation and the location of the overlay district in relation to abutting properties. The second amendment contains more specific guidelines for setbacks for these large-scale ground-mounted PV installations within residence A, B, and C districts. This amendment would ensure that large-scale solar installations located within residential zones are constructed at a further distance away from abutting residential properties than is currently allowed. We feel that the current bylaws do not sufficiently protect the town from large-scale solar installations popping up on every parcel of open space throughout the town and threatening our residential districts. That's my statement. Thank you for your time.
Okay, let's talk, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can we talk about a procedural thing now?
Go ahead.
And so they present this to the Board of Selectmen with the correct amount of signatures to get on our spring town meeting, and then by a 2/3 vote at spring town meeting, or what's the process? Now does it, it has to go to the planning board for an open
It
hearing?
has a
Yeah.
What you have before you now doesn't meet the criteria for the 10 signatures, because the petition is not, and the signatures are not part of the petition, they're just, attached.
So,
But let me finish.
Yep.
Is that, but you, the board, could, under your discretion, move this on. Meaning, you could say, okay, you know, we're gonna, you have made this request, she showed you that many people have signed on and are supporting her request. If it came down to it, she could resubmit a petition in the correct format, and then guarantee that it be submitted. So my recommendation is just start the process, because all you're doing right now is taking it and submitting it to the planning board to say, okay, what was it? The Board of Selectmen we've gotten this petition from neighbors. We're submitting it. It's just like when the solar people came in, the development people came in, they asked you to do the same thing.
Since the solar people have, from a legal procedural standpoint, the solar people have already made that application, and this, yes,
No.
or if they.
are they grandfathered in?
Yeah.
No, because they don't have the zoning there now. They could be grandfathered in if the solar overlay was in existence today.
Or if it was Article 12 and it was voted,
No.
not even, so if it was Article 12 and it was voted affirmative, and this was Article 13, then you could say that it was done before.
No.
Okay.
No. That's, the grandfather doesn't work that way. So,
That's a question I had, Joe. That's a good question.
It would be, everything would come into place so that the overlay zone that the person would have approved would now be subject to the new requirements, except for the fact of I do have a problem with the way this is first written, because what it suggests is that there are pre-submission requirements to asking for a zoning change, and Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 5, say that the following is the procedure for doing it, and and there's no exception. I mean, and you can't use any other process.
Can you use the example? Is it the one about submitting the thing to the selectmen or the board of?
No, yeah, well, that's the same statute, but it says this is the process, and what her one is doing here is suggesting, well, before you can even submit it, you've got to do something.
And that would be submit the whole plan to the board of selectmen or the planning board, so everybody knows what could
Right.
potentially happen there.
Right.
Okay.
And I have a problem with it at that submission level, from the proceeding with it.
When you wouldn't have a problem?
Rose has sent me an email suggesting that maybe we could amend that to prior to the public hearing, which would probably be a little bit better to, less likely to be objected to by the Attorney General, because at that point you've started the process, you're continuing the process. You're just saying, okay, before you get to the public hearing, this is what we want to have in place for this zoning item. So you could still start this process as it is right now, and that amendment could be made,
After the public hearing after this one?
Yeah, the public hearing after this one. And
Yeah, I mean, that's what the public hearing's for.
Exactly.
Things get changed, we have a public hearing, bring in more information, and we could change it after that public
right,
hearing.
and then again, what would happen is that the article, the warrant article, would be, would then reflect that. Now, the other advantage of you guys submitting it as opposed to going through a petition is that even though she's requested this, you would then have control of the warrant article, and you could, if there was a need to change some wording, you would have that authority, whereas if it was a petition, you would just have to go in exactly as
Written.
written, and there could be no change to the warrant article. So,
Because then you can't get your signatures and then change the article.
right,
But
Because
you
that-
could, but you could change your article and get the signatures again.
Yes, you can.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You have
So-
10 people, I think, in the room, you could do it right now and have them all sign it right now.
Yeah.
So what was, can I just for clarifications for people if they're watching at home or in the room, so
the reason why they weren't on there, it was the proposed amendments were on one page,
On a
and then,
separate page.
and then the signatures were on another page, and they were stapled. The
Yeah.
signatures have to be on the same page as the amendments are, they have to be on the same page, so somebody, when they're signing it, they realize what they're signing, not a separate piece of paper that, I'm not saying that you
Right.
did that,
No, no.
but the reason why they
Could
did
be
that-
cut and paste.
Sure.
It could be
I
cut and paste,
understand that.
or they could be signing, you know,
Sure, I have no problem with that.
no, it's an
I think
informational thing
that's,
for
I
us.
think that that's
No, I think
right,
it's a good for people, and
right.
Yeah, when you have a petition, and you can see it on the state petition.
Right.
They have you know, sign on for those things. The article is right there on that paper that you're signing.
Okay.
and
you
like,
have to do-
yeah.
So, Mr. McCarron, what you're saying is that instead of submitting the specifications of the overlay district prior to the Board of Selectmen or the Planning Board, to say that that information needs to be available before the public hearing that gets planned by the Planning Board is an acceptable change of wording for that article?
I think I would go with that. I mean, I've done some research on it, and frankly, I've found nothing as to, I mean, it's a little bit difficult because, you know, the whole idea of the planning process, as Mr. Kemper pointed out, was to vet it and to maybe make changes, adjustments. And if you say that, well, you have to have the plan set in stone before you can do that process, kind of goes against that.
It's counterintuitive of having a public, it's actually counterintuitive of having a public meeting and getting the input from the neighbors, because you've already told them what it's gonna be, but then you're supposed to have a public meeting so the neighbors would come and hopefully the person would listen and make some
Adjust
amendments and
adjust
changes.
things, yeah.
Adjust things.
But that still doesn't guarantee us that the solar overlay district that's defined by the developer is specific enough to know where it's going to be located, does
But
it?
by your setbacks, you could.
Yeah, I mean, well, like any zoning article is that, you know, plans are prepared, and they don't necessarily have to be, you know, by registered land surveyor.
But you're asking-
They just have to be suitable enough that people can recognize it. So a lot of times, what people do is that they simply indicate, you know, setbacks from property lines or something like that, which would, you know, be enough to be able to locate it within reasonable certainty. So, I mean, but the thing is that we could do that plan, we could do it in 3 phases. We could do it, you're suggesting, or at least initially, to do it right at the beginning, which I have a little bit of a problem with, to do it before the public hearing, or the statute could be that it be done before there's a vote at town meeting, so that the town meeting will know exactly what it would be.
Well, I would hope that it would be done too before the
Well-
public meeting,
Well, I
because
mean,
how
the
the
thing
public
is
can
that
make
it's
comment on
different-
something they
It's
don't
different
know.
to say that you have a plan by registered land surveyor, as opposed to a
Oh.
plan that has, like, for
Oh,
example,
okay, yeah.
when we did the
Oh,
zoning
okay.
district for the overlay for the
Yeah,
park,
yeah.
we did not have a
I got
registered land surveyor.
I got you, and it could move 5 or 10 feet either way.
It's
Because
Yeah.
that was our intention. It could move a little bit, but it can't move a lot.
depends upon.
But see,
But see,
when-
that's the intention that I don't want to allow the developer to have,
But
to
I
move
under-
it here or there or anywhere in the
I
area.
understand that, but when
Okay.
when Mr. McCarron says, I have a problem with that, it's not that we have a problem with it. There are state laws that require us to do this in a certain way. That's the reason why he has the problem with it, because after this is done by, voted on town meeting, so it's voted affirmative, it goes to the Attorney General,
Right.
and they have to do it. So they would then knock it down and say, no, you can't do it this
Well,
way.
there isn't really a history of the Attorney General knocking down local local
Oh,
zones.
yes, there is.
Wow.
Well, especially when it's in conflict to the law they've already had stated. Oh, you can do it that
Well,
way.
you know, there
We're just
really isn't a
helping.
lot of language
We're trying to
about-
help you.
I know you are.
You can submit it the way you want to submit it. We're trying to help you so it goes through the whole process for
Right.
you.
Well,
You
what
do
I'm
it the
saying
way you
is
want to
that-
do it.
Is that you tonight can start the process, and these things can be hammered out to the planning board. You know, and,
So do you want,
What do you
my
want?
question
What's
to
your-
you,
what's your preference?
yeah, my question to you is, do you want us to start the process? Because we see, obviously, there is enough to get it through. And we could make changes to it that you might not like. I'm not saying that we would, but we have the ability to do that. Or do you want to go back, and you still have time, and do it and get the signatures, and then it can't be changed.
Right, I understand the differences. Would I be able to work with the town council to get the wording
I mean,
correct?
again, you know, well, it's up to you guys.
What were we gonna say?
Well.
You're not allowed to do that?
I don't want to be an author and then have to judge it too, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, yeah.
You're not.
Well, you know, I really, maybe just to have a discussion about what the issues are that I need to straighten out and understand a little bit more.
The issues are, very frankly, is that can you have pre-submission requirements in the zoning process? Usually that isn't the case because the whole idea of the zoning process is that a proposal is made to the planning board, they have a public hearing, they adjust it, and then it goes to town meeting. That's kind of the idea of why they set it up that way. And the state statute says, this is it, this is the only process. And so, but frankly, I haven't found any cases out there that interpret it this way. Because, in fact, this is the first time I've seen a pre-submission requirement. Most of the times, these are things that are required of, you know, at the time of a town meeting, maybe. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Not even. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for, you want to know exactly, just to bring
Yes.
it down to layman terms.
Right,
You want to know exactly what the heck's going to be put down somewhere.
and where it's going to be put.
And where it's exactly going to
Yeah.
be put before the whole process
Right.
starts. So then the neighborhood would have a good understanding and would even be able to comment on it, because if that's not precise, it could move a little bit.
Right.
And we're saying, or the state's saying, that that's probably not going to pass muster with the Attorney General, because there's a certain zoning process you have to
And
follow.
the other thing too is.
So, but let me just finish. So, but would you be happy to make sure that happens after, at some point during the process, they have to do it before it gets voted on? Because now they really don't have to, do they?
Well, they obviously have to have a plan that's reasonably definable.
But
and
reasonably
Well,
defined.
no, I mean, it has to be accurate enough so that people can locate it. You know, I mean, you can do that by simply doing offsets to the property line. Say it's 100 foot, 130 feet, you know, and you can locate that pretty reasonably. But, I mean, you know, it can be what it be. I would feel more comfortable, I think that it would be more sustainable, is that if you had the pre-submission as a requirement for the public hearing. Because remember, the public hearing can adjust it, and actually even in town meeting, as long as you're within the scope, you can adjust it too.
So instead of the person getting exactly what you want before the process,
Before the submission.
before even the submission
Right,
of it,
because
they have to have that before the public hearing. Because then that's the first time the public's going to look at it, really, and then you can comment on it. That's reasonable.
that sounds reasonable. You can think about that and reword the
I think that's
article.
what you suggested to me earlier today. Isn't that exactly what you suggested?
I think I thought we could skip to the planning board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Is that the plan, you know, the plan you discussed should be something available for the
And
public hearing.
I think the point is to get it out before the town meeting so that people who attend the town meeting know exactly what they're voting on. That's the intent.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay,
So if they have it before the public hearing, it's way
Right.
before.
right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing,
Mhm.
do you want to take care of it and get your 10 signatures and then it can't be changed? Or would you like us to start the process?
Let
And they
me
don't
think.
fall under the same guidelines that all articles have to be put in, have to be ready by February 8th, the schedule that we did.
Well, we took the position that with regard to zoning articles, is that because the statute has a process for it,
Mhm.
once it's been submitted once you start the process, then you have a good faith requirement that it be on the agenda. You know, I mean, the idea being is that, you know, where the selectmen do control what goes on the agenda.
You mean the agenda or you mean the warrant?
Warrant, excuse me. is that, but it would kind of be self-defeating to say that someone can have the right to submit a zoning article or amendment, but then be thwarted
Because they didn't make the timeline.
because the selectmen didn't put it on the warrant. So,
I can get it ready by the 8th. Submitted by the
not
8th.
required.
And I can just submit it to the office. I don't have to come to another selectmen's meeting to do that, do I? Okay.
so
But
essentially.
what would we do then? She would
You just
present
don't-
it,
What you would do is vote to submit the article to the planning board for the
To start the
commencement of the
process.
process in accordance with 48 section 5. The same one that you just did for, the other process.
so that, so we can't act on it until our next meeting.
Well, so you could act on it.
But we don't have it, we don't have
We
it.
don't have it.
We don't have it. She doesn't have it.
So how does it work if the deadline is February 8th for
But
people to
that's the reason why I asked.
Yeah, you could do it, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
but that's why I asked about signatures, so if somebody, so for something else, if somebody comes and
Well,
gets
this
10
is different.
signatures and they give it to us, I know it's different because it's zoning, but I'm saying if we can't prohibit somebody coming with 10 signatures in March and putting it, or the end of February and putting it on the warrant, can we?
No, until you close the warrant.
Yeah, until we close the warrant. We're not
Oh.
closing the warrant until February 8th?
No, that's not.
No, that's an article. We're not closing the warrant until we do that until 2 weeks ahead of time, right?
Right.
That's when the warrant is actually published.
Together.
Yeah. Post town meeting warrant, April 13th.
That's what you have to, obviously, you need.
I understand, but I'm just saying, that's the last,
I don't think we have a date on there.
we don't. But I'm just saying that we have to post the warrant on that, so it could be,
Okay, so basically it's that she revises it and then you vote on it to,
but if you want to get it in by the 8th, you get it in by the 8th.
Right.
Because there are other articles that are going to be put in by the 8th, and we still don't meet until then.
Right.
But so.
And if it has the 10 signatures, you really don't have to approve it, do you? If it has the 10 signatures, you
No.
said it
No.
automatically
If it has
goes.
the 10 yeah, if it has the 10 signatures, we don't have to vote. Why do we have to vote it? It just starts the
well, you
process.
just, well, again, you're just gonna, again, it's the same process, either way.
Oh,
Meaning-
we have to recognize the 10 signatures and just say it needs to start the process and move it along to the town meeting. I guess. it's just-
Oh, okay,
A
we still have to
formality.
do that. Okay, okay.
So it starts here, basically, the zoning articles, they start here, you give it to them, and then they,
Okay, just one final question. Do you do that approval at the next meeting?
if you give a revised article,
Yes.
then
Then it gets submitted to you at the next meeting, and then the planning board gets it from there, from you. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you
But,
very much.
You know, if you could submit the other article on the dimensional changes to setbacks, I mean, that's just, the other one.
Yeah. Is it gonna be,
There's two requests there. One is for the pre-submission requirement, and the other one is for, expanded setbacks.
but I think she wants to get her taking signatures on this, so it's nice and clear, so we
Okay.
can't make it if it comes to us, we're allowed to make amendments to it. It might be something that we might think is good, but she might not, and it really comes from her, so it becomes a little bit.
Right.
Well, remember, is that the 10 signatures in this case is to commence the submission of the zoning article,
Yeah,
okay? It's not a place it on the warrant. It's 10 signatures under chapter 48, section 5. That means it has, all that does is it commences, it has to go through the process. You can change it from there.
yes. Okay,
Wait a minute, now I'm getting
Yeah, but
confused.
you said earlier, hey, we can take it in right now and start the process. It doesn't matter what it really is. We can take it in, we can start the process. But the selectmen have the ability at that point to change it.
Yes.
But then you said, well, if you have the 10 signatures on it, it has to read exactly what it says.
When it has the 10 signatures on it, it has to be submitted to the planning board exactly as it's written. Because it's coming from them. See what I mean? Right now, what I'm saying is you have the authority right now to say, I see what you're doing here, Rose, and so, but we're not gonna we're gonna change it right here, and it's gonna come from us. You see my point?
Mhm.
Because we're talking about the procedure under 48, section 5, not the procedure under, I believe it's chapter 40, 39.
And who has the ability to change it before it gets to town meeting?
The planning board can make recommendations, and then it's put on a warrant article, and the town meeting has a motion, and as long as.
Who makes the motion?
Whatever town meeting member gets up and makes it.
Well, and the planning board makes recommendation. It doesn't mean that you have to follow those recommendations in your motion.
Right.
They're just saying, hey, we'd like to see it like this, and you say, well, no,
And that's really the reason for,
and I don't,
for
and
submitting it.
I don't want it that way. I want it to read the way we submitted it, and that's the way I'm going to make motions. And there could be a dueling thing on town meeting floor where somebody, whatever.
Okay.
We'll beat this to death.
Thank you.
So you're okay?
I'm okay.
But do you see the idea about getting Mike involved too much? Because
Oh,
he's gonna write
It's a
it,
conflict of interest.
yeah,
I
and then
don't
he's
want-
gonna advise
put
us
him
what
in
can
that.
be on. So we'd prefer not, if he can help out a little bit,
Sure,
of course, but not too much.
right, right.
if
I
that
appreciate
means,
that.
You know what I mean? We wanna be,
I know, I've been bothering
it's your
him
taxpayers' money.
for
so-
several weeks
Yeah.
now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Or we can wait, tell him to come down when he, when he's finished. What? Oh, of course. What, you got a date? With a plane tomorrow morning.
Okay, let's skip that item then and go to the update on what's happening with the paid school.
Mr. Chairman, we got a pretty good detailed outline and schedule of when things could be finished so our kids can get back into paid school. I would actually like to, at this point, set up a meeting with the superintendent and the principal of that paid school to be able to go over the schedule. And so, with the contractor to, and everybody that, the Board of Health, the building inspector and so forth, to go over with them to make sure that we're all on the same page so our kids can get into the school as quick as possible.
Basically to optimize the situation.
Yep. I would ask Mary to reach out to the superintendent tomorrow morning and get a date as soon as possible so we can try to set the parents and the kids at ease as soon as we can. But I think it's important for us to both work on this together. Since there are two components, the actual building and making sure it's suitable and ready for occupancy, which is our responsibility, and then obviously the education portion of it is the superintendent and the school district's responsibility. So we need to work together, and I think it's important.
Do you have any dates in mind?
As soon as possible. When are you free?
I probably won't be there. I want to come, but I'm going to be out of town for a couple days.
Okay. Are you free at night at all this week? I know there's a school building meeting on Wednesday, so that's.
It's the 7th, there's a school build, right?
Yeah, so, and I think they have a school committee meeting tomorrow night too, I think. So the earliest would be if you could do it Thursday. In the are you good in the afternoon?
Not great, but I'll do my best, yeah.
Or Friday?
I could do it late Thursday. Like if you did it like 5 o'clock.
You?
Okay.
But I don't want them to say no to a time,
Yeah,
and then it gets pushed off for a week. So just, what's optimal for them. But we need to have representation from the Board of Selectmen and some key West Newbury employees. So reach out and say that.
Who do you want there? Do you want to
Well,
Gary.
Why don't we?
Yeah.
We'll go, reach out to the board of him and say, hey, listen, selectmen want to meet as soon as possible. What is good for you? Some daytimes, maybe some night times, but as soon as possible.
Like, I can get away any day if I can do it like in the, you know, like the half an hour or hour around noontime. Okay. We wanted to have a brief discussion of the replacement schedule for police vehicles.
This replacement schedule is the same one we talked about elsewhere.
Same thing.
Now, I realize people have different opinions today versus the past. We discussed this at a February 21st selection meeting. Buddy's not there. Arch never was there. And we were in agreement. We did not vote on it because Glenn wasn't there. So in reference to him, we waited until March 6th. And again, we talked about it on March 6th. Again, we're in agreement. We did not formally vote to adopt it, but we all three of us individually said that we were okay. That was earlier this year, so this is a starting point. That's where we were.
And I concur. The plan to replace one patrol vehicle this year and the chief's car, which is a 2008. Initially, when I saw the budget, I didn't know that the second one would be the chief vehicle. So now I'm pretty okay with it.
That chief's vehicle we got on a grant, correct?
I believe, right? But we do have a chief that actually does have patrols.
Art, did we? I assume it was. What did we? Did we unload the cruiser that we did
The last,
replace? Yeah.
excuse me, yes, we did. I believe, off the top of my head, it was either $4,500 we got for the last car.
Okay, that's good. That's pretty good. What would you anticipate? They don't make Crown Vics anymore, so what would you anticipate using?
It'd probably be the same thing, the Ford Explorer.
So it's not on the agenda to actually vote this.
No, I just wanted informational, yeah. Because we saw it on the budget and there was immediate question about that, so I just thought I'd get it out of the way soon.
The reason I asked that is when we first brought this up, the idea was to have a schedule so every year we would have to rediscuss why we placed a police vehicle that we've got a schedule approved.
And I agree.
It was in the budget.
It's just that,
And make sure it was in the budget.
right, it kind of red flagged because this year, because of that, it had two, and that's why there was a question.
Yes,
Yes.
Say that again, what was your question?
Is it in the budget?
Yes, it is.
yes.
Okay, and I would assume that I had that question too, because I kept on looking and looking to see what we're gonna replace it with. So, all vehicles were replaced by Ford Explorers unless otherwise discussed
Determined, yeah,
with
unless,
us.
I'm
Just
sorry.
so otherwise discussed with us?
Yeah,
or-
I mean,
Just so we understand, so you don't have to, and all of a sudden something else shows up there because you couldn't get something or whatever, and then, whatever, I
Well-
don't know, I'm just trying to make, like Joe said, we're trying to streamline this so you don't have to come back every single year.
Well,
So if we have a good understanding of exactly what we're gonna get every year, and so, unless, only come back when there's changes
to the plan. No, there's only, as the board probably knows, there's only 3 manufacturers that make police cars right now. It's Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler.
What's the Chevy? The Impala?
I don't even think they make the Impala now.
I just haven't seen it, it must be not very popular, I just haven't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So, I mean, those are really the only choices. The Ford has the 2 vehicles, the Explorer and the Taurus. The vendor that I've been dealing with said he's not even going to get any Tauruses because less and less departments are using those because there's not a whole lot of space in it. And so the other option is obviously Chrysler. And that car, I don't think it's a vehicle that would be good for a front-line vehicle because it has the same problems that the Taurus has. I think the only thing that Ford has come out recently, and I haven't even looked at it, is they have a pickup truck, and I don't see a need for that here. So,
What about,
no, I know there is an electric Tetris that's coming out. That's about 100,000.
that's what I was just actually gonna say.
Yeah.
What about
I was going to ask our energy people if they knew of any new vehicles.
We
Actually, a new vehicle that Ford is introducing.
we
Plug-in hybrid police pursuit.
we have discussed it. We are a long way.
Sure, we've never talked about this one.
No, not this one. We've talked about electric cars. I like electric cars. I know the car that you're talking about, but we're still a long way away from having a fleet of electric cars.
Well, I understand that, but why are we long, there's like 3 longs there to even introduce them?
Because we're a long way. We're not going to be the pilot program for the United States. I'm going to let someone else get all the kinks and issues out of that. It's all new technology, not for the electric part, but joining all the electrics for the vehicle with all the other stuff that, it's not just a regular car, it's all our stuff that's in it with the electric car,
I
so.
was hoping we would be able to utilize the docking station we had to pay for the superintendent for his electric car, and now he's leaving.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen?
No. Sorry.
I didn't hear that, what you said.
I think it was a joke.
Oh, no, that's all, that information is all real. So, and we're gonna follow the same procedure that where the selectmen will dispose of the vehicles as they see fit.
If that's what you guys want to do. I mean, the only other better way that I've done it in the past is so we're not raising, appropriating, whatever X is of the year, whether it's for 1 car or 2, whatever the money that we get from the vehicles, my belief should be applied towards the expense. Because say we're going to spend $50,000 for a vehicle, instead of raising and appropriating $50,000, we already have $4,500 from the previous sale. So that money ought to be applied to whatever the sticker cost is. So we're not raising and appropriating 50 grand, we're only raising and appropriating 45.
We have to think about that.
No,
We've been there, and
we changed it to this
we
system.
changed
Okay, no,
it
it's
because
just a suggestion.
we did better in the way we're doing it now.
Yeah, we were convinced to do it this way, and nothing's convinced us, and the only thing that convinced us is money, and nothing's convinced us money-wise, we're doing the best for the town. money-wise.
Well,
So, and another thing, before I forget, Art, you started a great program about,
The details.
thank you, the details, outside details, and then we set up a fund for that would offset,
the cost.
Some vehicle
some
costs, yeah.
vehicle. How's that going?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. Well, let me this is why, I don't know what the backstory is of why you guys changed it to the way it is now. I'm assuming it's pre-me, because
About what?
of why you changed it to the system that it is.
It is pre-you, yes, yes.
It would have to, either that or I just can't remember anything anymore.
No.
But, that I can't remember anything, Arch, or it's pre-me? It's pre-me.
It's pre-you,
Yeah.
yeah.
So with that, Glenn, and I'm glad you brought that up, this was why it makes financial sense. If the car, let's call it $50,000, okay, we get, say, $4,500 because we put it out on bid, or $25,000 or whatever we get. We sell that to the highest bidder. We take that money and put it into the coffers to buy the next car. And then we have the detail rotating account, and we have X amount in there. So at the end of the day, if the car is $50,000 and I have what I have today, $10,700 in that rotating account, and then I have another $4,500 or $5,000 or $2,000, we're almost down to almost half of what the car costs. So the question is, why would we raise or appropriate $50,000? We're raising taxes for $50,000, where if we took what we got for the car, what we're getting for the details, and now you're only raising or appropriating half that much or a third that much.
That is a whole different subject.
Okay.
The subject is we have changed and we have a policy that we control how to dispose of them.
Oh, no, I'm saying you guys we still dispose it the same way.
That's one aspect of it.
But
We're
it
gonna do
also gives the real cost of the vehicle versus,
Okay, it's just, to me, I look at it as dollars and cents, trying to be frugal. You're raising a.
it's all
I
gonna come back.
I
yeah.
certainly know that. I know that you guys can still control that. If that's what the issue was from pre-me, that there was I don't care about controlling the money aspect. To me, it just makes.
We just found that the way that we do it, we were getting the better benefit money-wise for the town.
We didn't think we were getting hardly anything on the trade-ins.
And we did a huge analysis, we spent a ton of work with the prior finance director, and he proved.
He convinced us to change this,
Well,
yes.
convinced us and then proved it money-wise.
No, I agree with what Bertino and you guys are saying about putting the car out to auction. 100% behind that, because we got a lot of money that way. I'm just saying, once we get the money.
From the auction. You want to put it in that fund so it can offset future costs.
Right, exactly. Or separate funds.
That's another issue that,
That's
yeah.
why I said there's two, that's what I want to
Yeah,
make
okay.
sure, there's two things we're talking about.
No,
That's why I said that. So I would actually, let's think about that.
that I could think about that, but I do like the auction way
No,
better.
I
yeah.
support the auction.
Okay.
I'm sold on that. I
Great.
mean, no, absolutely.
Cool. So let's think about
Okay,
that.
Anything else?
No?
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Oh, yeah, can we we want to take things out of order for a second?
With the chief, you mean?
Chief Reed, just hang around for 1 second. We'll talk about and Andy's here too. We'll talk about the police contract. Andy, you want to come up to the mic? So I guess the first question is, what will, obviously it's not to the penny, but to your best estimate, what will FY 18's new contract cost, and what the additional amount, and what will what will it also cost in the new contract cost in FY 19?
Well, 19 is in the budget, right?
Okay. Okay,
The question really going to date and then
forward, right.
Well, in total for 18, it's probably gonna be somewhere around 35 grand.
Okay,
and arbitrarily or approximately just split, how time elapsed every year.
well, we're
It doesn't
about,
really matter, does it?
we're about 7/12 of the year.
Well, the budget, the
Doesn't
contract-
matter,
Yeah,
though.
the contract wasn't negotiated before before this fiscal year started.
Correct,
So there is no money for the negotiated cost of that contract in this budget.
correct.
So we have to figure out how much it's gonna cost us for 7 months, but we have to figure out, there wasn't money appropriated in there for the previous contract. So we have to know what that contract was and what the future cost is for this fiscal year, and what the difference is for the whole year.
Yes and no to what you just said, because I don't want to speak for the chief, but I think if we're looking at a third of the year left, so March through June, I think you probably have that in your current year budget. I'm just guessing.
Well, then how could he have that in his current year budget? Because he was budgeted for a lesser amount unless we padded unless there was money in there that we didn't need. I didn't mean, I stopped myself. I didn't mean that at all.
He's not fully staffed yet, officer. So I don't know, what's the answer?
I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't hear the last part.
You have the funding, which is about a third of the 35,000.
No,
You don't.
no. A third would be about, what?
12.
12, yeah, I was gonna say 13,000, no. Because then people are gonna be looking at it and say, well, what are you doing padding your budget?
I didn't mean.
No,
I stopped it because I didn't mean it to
No,
be
and
a
I didn't ta-
derogatory way.
Yeah,
I
no.
meant it to be, I'm agreeing with you. How
Right,
could you?
I couldn't, because everything's so micromanaged of the money. Yes, there is a couple dollars, but it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Because,
So you have.
So the other issue is, in one, I mean, my feeling is that the office, I'm just speaking for myself. The officers have, the contract is signed and it's retroactive to July 1st. So to me, that's a, you might say a debt, that's pay that they have already earned. These are, and that they should be paid for that in this fiscal year. That we shouldn't hold off on that, their additional pay, even though it took this long to get the contract signed. Well, the whole thing. In other words, no, we're not going to pay them.
this fiscal
We're not
year
going to
means
pay
that-
them June's now. But I would. But I
This
would.
fiscal
But
year could mean that we pay it in June 30th, or after town meeting.
Or May 1st after it's appropriate.
That's what I meant. We have a special article.
But,
So what do you really mean by that? You know what I mean?
I just think that as soon as we can arrange it, that they should be paid that amount.
Chief doesn't have the money in there, and understandably, because it wasn't budgeted.
So is this, you haven't let me finish. So would this be classified as an unforeseen expense? In other words, would this
go
be,
to a
would this be qualified as a reserve fund transfer? And I don't know, because you can't really say it's an emergency, but I consider, someone getting their due pay kind of an emergency. So that's just where I'm coming from. So I don't know whether that would qualify as that would be up to the finance committee to determine how they feel about that.
We could say the chief has the money to pay the back money in his budget. But then he wouldn't have,
Well, he just said no.
hold on, no, you didn't let me finish. Then he wouldn't have any money going forward, right, to pay the officers, you know what I mean?
Right.
So he can't do that, it would be not fiscally responsible to do that. So we have to come up with a payment we're dealing with a municipality. We just can't take it out of a checkbook somewhere. So maybe we need to meet with, have Andy and the chief meet, because he said there are maybe some dollars, not enough. Find out what those dollars are, and then we have to come up with a plan, us three, on how to make sure that we execute the contract the way we're supposed to, and the best way we can. That's it.
If we, I mean, we can certainly wait until we could have a special town meeting article, and and I would assume that would be funded for this fiscal year to
And
cover.
If it's not, we would have to find the money somewhere.
Right, but see, that's why I wonder if the easier way in all of this would be a reverse reserve fund transfer.
Well, can we back up? And I hate to re-ask the same question, but I'm gonna give a little bit more clarity to that. Through December, okay, police salary and wages expended were approximately $380,000. Budgeted for the year was $825,000.
Can you say those again one more time?
Budgeted for police salary and wages is
825. Okay, and 380,
December is 6 months, obviously,
yeah,
is 380.
even. Okay,
Well, I
okay.
No overtime in there.
So that would appear,
No overtime in there.
that is not overtime, that's police salary and wages. So
Just wanna make sure.
it's a separate line.
Yep.
That would say to me that we can at least fund the raise whenever all parties actually sign the contract. So, I mean, one approach.
I mean, that is 46% and it's 50% of the year. So yeah.
Pretty close.
I mean, I would feel comfortable when the contract is signed, just going to the new, what the new contract says. And maybe an option could be, a reserve and transfer is an option, but for the back portion, we could have a special town meeting article, and then they would be paid the first payroll in May for the back portion.
Oh, okay. So go forward with.
So pay, yeah, you get your raise now, it's there, the money's there.
Whenever the contract is
When it's
executed,
signed by all parties, yes.
and then get your pay with the article.
As the back pay is, then, I mean, I don't know if we have enough for the back pay in there, maybe we do, maybe we don't, I'm not sure.
Well, we can work those numbers out. Because remember, the chief's schedule, the chief's salary budget goes to June 30th. That will be May 1st with a special town article. So if it's not quite ready, we can offset that too there. There is a month.
I mean, does that
2
make
months
sense
basically.
to review the numbers like quoted 825 for the addition budget, and we paid 383 December?
I don't have all those numbers in front of me, Joe. The only money that I'm even thinking that we might have extra, and I don't even like the word extra because that connotates something more than that, but no, there's nothing extra in my budget. I think I talked to you earlier today, Archie, and guess estimate, there might be maybe $8,000 that was supposed to be used for the full-time officer that I'm trying to hire. From the time that the last officer left to today, that money is still being spent on plugging the holes, not at the, exactly, not at the full-time rate, but I'm still spending the money at a reserve rate. So I don't know where you're getting those numbers.
So
Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I know you got it from somewhere in the town. But I guess the only money that is unreserved at this point is from that one position, but I'm still spending it at just a little bit lesser rate than I would have.
I guess I was looking at what's already been done, not what's going forward, and I guess I see in what's already been done, that you have the money for the going forward raises, like the B-roll, that's what.
My
Joe,
prior,
Can I ask a question, Joe? Because you guys did the math. as of December, we spent 46% of that without the raises. So how could we go forward? I mean,
So we have 4% of the 825.
so you're just counting on the 4% to cover the raises? That's pretty tight.
That's 32,000. 33,000. 4% of 800,000.
30. It's way more than that. I would say.
So whenever we execute it, pay it from the current salary, and we'll reconcile the numbers with Andy and the chief, and we'll get a special article for the Springtown meeting. Well, they don't, that's not a good question to ask in a public meeting.
To me, or to, are you talking about?
You.
Me.
You.
Okay, I guess what I would suggest is waiting until the end. We're doing 5 different things to solve the one problem. I say there's 2 solutions to this. Again, I guess being fiscal prudent is A, we wait until the end of the year. The money gets appropriated at town meeting. We know exactly what we're going to need to obviously reconcile the raises, and either right after April town meeting, the first week of May or whatever the pay period is, between Andy and I, we'll know exactly what everybody is owed back and then going forward.
For the whole year.
Yeah. Or you wait right until the last day of the year or the first pay period of July, everybody gets their retro. You do it once instead of doing it 3 or 4 or 5 different ways.
So legally, after you've executed a contract, can you do that? I would say do what?
It seems like, but it seems like you're not being paid your actual salary.
I don't think you can do it that way. You'd have to have, as soon as we sign the contract, we're obligated to pay that amount of money. And I would think that's going forward, and then it would be.
At least on the forward part.
Yeah, I would think.
My prior experience with union contracts, they're subject to appropriation. And we always put a warrant article at town meeting to fund it, and then pay the retros after those were approved. And that's what I'm recommending to you.
Okay.
So you don't think there's any regulations that we're violating, we're not paying them, okay.
These are all speculations. So we got the recommendation from the chief, we have the recommendation from our financial person. We're not signing it tonight anyway, right? Correct. Because we didn't get it. So let's meet, and we can talk to Mike, and we'll make a decision when we sign it. Thank you. I mean, we can still talk about it all night, but that's what it is. We got your recommendation. We might have to ask the legal thing on Mike, and then it is what it is.
I just think the less steps, the easier it is for everybody.
I would agree. But that might, I think in the back of our head too, we're trying to make
Life easy.
and we're trying to be fair too to the office.
I fully support that idea, but I'm thinking financially,
I understand.
the less steps, the less room for error.
So just on that note, do we know that Chief, do you know that the union has signed it or has not? Has that?
They've ratified it. They voted on it, and they, yes, right? No.
Okay. Do you know?
What was the question?
Just the actual, has the union signed it?
Signed it, I don't know. I know they met.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
But they ratified in principle.
In principle, okay.
Yes. Actual signed it, I don't know, but in principle, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Good luck. I'd run.
Okay,
Yeah, Stevens, Stephen was here, Stephen, we were here, we were listening to what the staff.
that's not supposed to, we tried to cancel it and it just didn't get canceled, so.
Do you wanna know what it's about? Do you know you wanna know what it's about?
Well, I was wondering if it was about the, sort of crazy instability in the plastics recycling market right now, but what was it about?
Absolutely not.
No, okay.
We just wanted to get some more information about recycling from Mello. We had some questions. We were gonna present those questions to the Board of Health, and then they were gonna come back in, and a representative from Mello were gonna come back in,
Okay.
and then just answer our questions and just give us an update.
Give the
because
town some information,
maybe
yeah.
some information
yeah.
about recycling, and that could be part of it, and it sounds like it might be because of,
Just speculation, I just, saw recycling, there's a lot sitting here already, why not?
and if you have any, the reason why I asked, if you have any questions that you would think that would be germane to the discussion that you might want answered.
Send them to me.
Yeah, send them to Archie, so then we can send them to the Board of Health, so they could have those questions and have answers for us when we meet with them. It sounds like that might be a good answer, question.
I don't have any huge insight.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there's a number of people in the audience that you're right. Hey, we take that out of order.
Okay. So, yes.
I would like to ask though, is everybody here, or are you waiting on anybody?
Okay,
Okay.
there is a request well, does it, go ahead.
Somebody
wait.
might not even need to have to come up. So, this is actually, if I'm not mistaken, Community Preservation Committee. Okay, you're our representative and you're the chairperson, Joe. Okay. A application has been submitted to the CPC, okay, and by the open space. After it's been submitted, then that becomes a CPA article. It doesn't be, if it's approved. So you're asking that you see that the application was sent in. We have set a deadline of February 8th for all articles to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen. You see, because of some timelines, that those timelines aren't going to be met. So the CPC or whomever, I think it would be the CPC, because it will be the CPC's article, that could you put a placeholder for a potential article? Okay. That's what we're going to be voting on tonight. Yeah. Because we on November 27th in our meeting, we voted on this schedule 2 hours in between 2 hours and 30 to 2 hours and 55 seconds into the meeting. We voted on this, that they were all what? You can't just do all the research?
I dispute that.
Okay, you can dispute it. That all articles have to be in on.
But we did talk about police cars 29 minutes into that.
Okay. On the 8th by noon. That's what we talked about.
We did say we voted that. We didn't say we voted. You're right.
Yep. Okay.
You're correct.
So all we're doing here tonight is saying there could be a potential article from the CPC, and do we want to put a placeholder in? And I would say, if we do, then we need to open it up for everybody. Because every single year, with concert with the Finance Committee, we try to say, we need to keep to the schedule. We need to keep to the schedule. And everybody comes forward, and I was hoping this year would be, but if it is what it is, but as long as we open up and be fair to everyone in town, then that's it. So that's basically just a discussion tonight, right? I mean, what else is there? There isn't, because we have no article in front of us. We have nothing to even discuss.
So did the Open Space Committee vote it so that it would go on to
The
this?
Open Space Committee voted it, and this is the application, which is a public document, in front of the CPC for their vote. On the 15th? Joe, is that true?
The meeting's on the 15th, yes.
So there could be an article, or there couldn't be an article. There is no article if it doesn't come out of CPC. So I think tonight is somebody, I guess Joe, or whomever, the CPC is requesting the potential of an article, and they would ask us to put a placeholder in and go against our previously voted schedule. And I would say that the only alternatives to this.
So so what do you, okay, we talked a lot about this. So what, are you making a motion to deny that or
No, I'm just.
support it?
I wanted to, there seemed to be a lot of ambiguity going on here today about what exactly, it could be a presentation. It's nothing. It's just, are we going to not stick to our schedule or not? And then we have to inform them. That's what that's all, it's before us. Do you want to stick to the schedule or do we not? That's it. Mr. Chairman? I think there's somebody with a hand up. I don't know if you want to recognize.
May I offer a clarification on this?
Sure.
Sure. The clarification is about the schedule?
Yes. Jean Lambert from the Open Space Committee, and we're not just trying to not go with the schedule as you've laid it out. This matter was just brought to our attention very recently, and we realized because of the CPC's meeting schedule and our meeting schedule, which was last week, that we needed to ask for this placeholder for a very important matter. I can't really say much about it at this point. Is that?
I would ask that we don't, what's before us? So I guess if it never came.
What's before us is a blank.
Okay.
Right,
But
it doesn't say anything, yeah.
I just don't know how much we're supposed to be talking about.
This is a matter that started back in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, from all the information that I gathered today. And there have been new developments on the same situation that have recently come up that I guess you guys feel that need to be executed at Springtown meeting. So, and you're asking us, because you can't get all the information in time for our schedule, the CPA, because it won't be the open space article. As soon as you submit the application to the CPC, it's their article to bring forward. The CPC is asking us to put a placeholder in because it's a very important situation, and that's it. And so if I'm not saying yes or no to it at this point, I'm just saying during this discussion, if we do it for you, I want to make sure we open up to everyone. That's it.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that you understood this was a very important piece of property. It's been on Open Space's radar for several years. Things changed within the last.
Well, I know, but just like, as Mr. Kemper says, everyone thinks their thing is
Super important.
no matter what it is, people think the fire hydrant is super important.
Every single
Everybody's thing is important. But see, that's, yeah.
And breathing apparatus for our firemen are.
Yeah,
and police cars are, and
I
whatever.
just want to make a general comment about it. I'm not going to talk about it, but I like the project. I'm supportive of it. However, I have a lot of questions that need to be vetted. So, we may or may not be able to do that. I don't know.
I mean, I have.
Mr. Bacharach, you have to use the
You need
mic.
to use the microphone.
Before I leave, would it help to have a greenbelt person tell you anymore or not?
No,
I think it's only going to cloud.
no,
things
it's
up.
not that's real, no.
Thank you.
So I guess my question to Greenbelt is, go back on the parts of that, also CPC. So I also have a list of questions.
Can you do me a big favor? We have to run a meeting.
Yeah,
Bill,
no, that-
you,
no.
I understand, but you need to speak to the microphone, and all questions need to go to
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
chairperson.
So my point is exactly what Joe is that I have a list of questions which I'll give them to tonight after this meeting, which I'd love to see him vet that out, because I understand what you're trying to do, and I think it's nice, but I think I give them some questions on that as well.
I think,
Yes.
I want to pick up where Gene left off. I'm Steve Greason on Open Space. Normally, this type of a topic is such a fluid thing, depending on real estate and people selling houses and stuff, their house, acquiring this land. It's kind of a golden opportunity right now. So this placeholder that we're requesting shouldn't be too complicated. I know it's late, but I don't know. I just think it's important that this doesn't get missed in the April town meeting.
What are you looking for, sir? Upstairs. On the second floor.
That's all. It's more than some other CPA type of work. It should be any kind of town work is important, but this particular topic is very immediate and very needs to be done very in the near future.
Okay, can I just ask, this is getting into the weeds, but this particular piece of property has been for sale for a long time. Why is it in a big hurry right now?
Price drops was appraisal
Mr.
done.
Chairman, I would ask that we refrain from any discussion about this particular.
But I just wanted a little information, yeah.
I understand, but which could be detrimental to the whole process. I would suggest that, and I can't believe this hasn't happened, that Open Space, Greenbelt, or whomever haven't had the Board of Selectmen in a executive session meeting to give us an update on this, so we're not sitting here blind and can't talk about it, because at the end, the Board of Selectmen grant all conservation restrictions. You could go through all your diligence, and then the Board of Selectmen couldn't even grant it. So we would probably, since we're going to be granting it, we would probably like to be part of working out the conservation restriction.
Absolutely.
This is, when you say the 15th, I think this is so far down the line, I'd be surprised if we get it anywhere soon, so.
It's just everything's happened in the last week, so it's all urgent. That's all.
No, we could have been put on executive session tonight. You can give us an update and give us an understanding of what's going on, so we'd have a better understanding of it, and then move forward. So all the things that everybody's saying to us, how important it is to put the placeholder on, would then make sense to us. But whatever. We're voting on the schedule. We're not voting on anything else.
We have more than half of our committee for leaving that we were going to be able to preserve this parcel. I think it would be.
No, but
first of all,
you can't talk, you have to.
I know, but that makes no. I mean, it makes no sense. I understand what you're saying, but it makes no sense. It's not germane to the agenda. No, but you don't understand that we have to follow open meeting law, right? And it's not what you're talking about is not germane to what's on the agenda tonight. That's why I wanted to make sure I clarified that, and I would spend 2 hours today trying to do that. Right? Exactly.
How hard or difficult is it to do a placeholder? Complicated thing to do?
This is all hypothetical. Glenn Kemper makes a motion to put a placeholder in for the CPC regarding a conservation restriction article. Second, discussion, all in favor, yes, all in favor, no. That's how hard it is. But over the years, the Finance Committee and everyone involved have asked us not to do this any longer, to try to set out a schedule, which we set out in November, so we wouldn't have to go this, so we would have a good streamlined process. So all tonight is about, hey, again this year, we try to do it right, we can't, and then I would say, if we do it, I just want to make sure we open up to everybody. So if you want trail money or something like that you haven't got your article in yet, you still have time, because we'll put a placeholder in for you.
It's just, we're not trying to be arbitrary, but you have to be arbitrary at some point, because having been on the FinCom for a long time, they have a job to do, and then 6 more things show up at the last second, and they can't, we want to vet things correctly for the voters, and so I'm torn to decide this.
This kind of must happen, this trend of last second placeholder things must happen every year, which is why.
Yeah, but we try to like squash them down.
It's
Yeah.
inevitable that even by trying to avoid it, it's inevitable that it's gonna happen again, right now. So-
If this was so important, we could have, other people could have changed meeting dates and had them earlier.
Yeah, I mean, why couldn't the,
You know,
if,
we can all-
I was gonna say exactly the same thing. If it was so important, people could have had an earlier meeting, to be honest.
We
yeah.
met on Saturday because of something
Yeah.
that was so important. If it
I
was
mean,
that
people, we
important
only meet every 2 weeks. Well, the selectmen meet when we have to, yeah.
because of when things are important.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this is wicked important, so.
Okay.
Wicked. You brought the Boston out right there, right? Wicked.
New Hampshire lived through died.
Okay, I think we've talked, okay.
You know me, but I'm John Dodge, and I'm a member of the Open Space Committee. And Steve is absolutely right. This is a golden opportunity. So my question to you, what is the absolute soonest we can get in front of you and apprise you of what's going on with this project? If we had known how important that is, we would have done it and made it an absolute priority. And the Open Space Committee is unanimous and is incredibly excited about the potential of this happening. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of questions yet to be answered. But I just don't want to see
if the
this deal derailed by the process.
Well, you can always get 10 signatures, and you can always get 10 signatures and do it the other way.
Well, I don't even understand what you're saying.
Okay. I wasn't kidding when I spent 2 hours on this today, okay, with Mike and everything.
Thank you.
So we do have the ability, because new information coming, we're not breaking open meeting law violation, and these two gentlemen right here do not know what I'm going to say now. If you'd like to wait till the end of the meeting, we can call an executive session because of new information which was not reasonably anticipated when this agenda was made. And we can go into executive session with whomever it needs to be, because it would be detrimental to the negotiation of potential purchase of land with us at the end of this meeting. We will not be breaking any laws, but it would have to be a vote of the Board of Selectmen. So I'm giving you that. I'm giving you that. When you say what the earliest time is, we can do that. But I'm not saying that anything is going to come out of it. I'm just saying you can give us information.
Well, we very much want this this land purchase to happen. It will be many months before it does, and we would hate to see it derailed by the process.
I think it goes back to the placeholder question. I mean,
It's all about the placeholder.
I'm sure it does. Well, that's my 2 cents.
So, and the placeholder question, so with reasonable thinking, you say, okay, we're meeting this is what we don't want to get into. We put a placeholder in. You meet with the CPC on the 15th, and the CPC says, we're not ready to vote on this. You need to come back to us in 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden it's in March. And you know what I mean by this? And then it's detrimental to the whole process, because now the FinCom hasn't been able to vet it before the process and so forth. That's what that's what we're trying not to happen. So we have to think of the worst case scenario when we're making these types of votes also, not the best case scenario. All of a sudden this could end up in who knows when. Because you have somebody here on the CPC and somebody else here on the CPC who's saying that I have a multitude of questions that I'm going to have answered before I can even vote on this.
To the CPC, it's not going to be a rubber stamp meeting.
No, we didn't expect that. And frankly, we don't know. We're not experts on the process, but
I know you're right.
working our way through it.
Okay, what about a hybrid, gentlemen?
What about a what?
A hybrid.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
That we would only extend that period of the 8th to, for this particular article, only if it comes out of the CPC on the 15th.
And when is the Board of Selectmen going to discuss this?
When is our next meeting?
The 20th, that's the meeting. I'd like to talk about it before the CPC.
In open session?
No.
Why can't we talk about it tonight? I know it's.
Prefer not to.
I understand. I'm trying to make it work or not make it work. You know what I mean?
I'll come back. I have no problem.
I just don't want to put the placeholder in, and then it means.
Yeah, and then the CPC can't decide, and then it's, yeah.
Well, okay, so then what about if we meet on the 12th in executive session?
With us.
We didn't say that, we just said, oh, that's a secondary question. Okay.
I don't know. There's somebody else who has their hand up. Could you? I might
Mr.
want to
McGrath?
have all this digest a little bit more.
No, let's make it, make a decision, yeah.
I mean, tonight we have to, but
Yeah.
I gotta get my head around.
I have a hypothetical based on a hypothetical, one about having an executive session tonight with the Open Space Committee. I have no knowledge, just again, could you go into the executive session with them if they're not in a posted meeting? I don't want your answer, I want you to consider what it is this windy road you're going down. If they, I don't know if they have majority quorum here, I don't know if they have a posted meeting. And so if you add hoc to the executive session now.
They do have a quorum, they do not have a posted meeting.
But that doesn't matter. It depends on how many people come into the meeting. I got you. So off the top of my head, I would say yes, that can happen as long as the individuals probably don't have a quorum inside the meeting. So if a representative came in for informational purposes only to discuss that with us, we could do that.
That would probably be okay, yeah.
They can't bring the whole committee in, and they could start deliberating and so forth and so on. But maybe the whole committee could come in just for informational purposes. They couldn't deliberate, they couldn't vote, they couldn't do anything because it's not a posted meeting. They're coming in, giving us information. It would almost be like them giving us a piece of paper, but they're just telling us. I would think that would be covered, but it's a good point by Mr. McGrath, and that was one aspect of it I did not ask legal counsel today when I was going over it. Okay, gentlemen, it's two things. Let's talk about the schedule tonight, or if you would like to, if you feel that any information that the representative from Greenbelt and a representative from Open Space could tell us in executive session about the whole process, because we cannot talk about it in an open meeting because it would be detrimental to the negotiating of land. If you think that would be pertinent and give us a good understanding if we wanted to extend our deadline, then let's do it. If not, let's just vote on it and move on.
I don't want to talk about it tonight. On top of that, I think the project has merit. I like the project.
So you would vote to extend the process, the schedule?
I didn't say that either, but I guess.
Oh, come on, we got it,
if you're gonna come back, you have to.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do it tomorrow night.
I would say it has to have a resolution by the 15th, one way or the other. If it doesn't have a resolution by the 15th, then we should not extend it past that.
Okay, so I would,
If it doesn't become an article.
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And becoming an article would be an affirmative vote from the CPC. Then it becomes an article, and then they have to bring it back to the Board of Selectmen, and then the Board of Selectmen do not have to put it on the warrant.
Okay,
And then the Board of Selectmen then, if they decide to put it on the warrant, then it has to go to town meeting for a vote. That's the process.
So when would we want to talk about it?
the 12th. If we want to.
I don't care. Well, I don't want to cloud the issue on that. So is that a motion, Joe?
Sure. I move to extend the deadline for this article until February 15th.
So, would you take a friendly amendment that if somebody comes forward to us and has another compelling thing, we would do the same thing for them?
Okay.
Okay? That's all I would ask. You're gonna win here, so you might wanna, it's like Judge Judy, you're gonna win, you might wanna just hold it. Okay? It's been moved out second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, since you have some all parties here, if somebody wants to just stay here tonight and for them to give us information, is that okay? And then we three could discuss it on the 12th? You wanna go home?
I'd rather not extend it tonight myself. Because
We're almost done. Okay, let's think about that.
So, do we want to discuss it in, schedule an executive session for next Monday? Okay. And if some members of the,
well, they can, if we want them to come in, I mean, they could post a meeting.
right, so what,
The question is-
6 or 7?
7. So the question to us is, what do we want for that executive session?
Well, what I would want, since we're a party, the selectmen are party to this and have no information at all about any conservation restriction, and we're the ones who are gonna be granting this conservation restriction, I would ask, and it looks like, and this is all public documents, so I'm not speaking out of turn, it looks like the town is going to be giving $200,000 for a conservation restriction that I will have to approve, that I have absolutely no idea with specifics of what it's going to entail.
Well, we don't know that yet. That's a proposal.
Yeah, so I mean, I would actually like to have maybe some say of the Board of Selectmen of the end result of this, right? We're the ones gonna be granting, who's gonna be granting the, I have a host of questions, of like, who's gonna be holding
So, okay,
the
so,
conservation
and again, it's, Glenn, let's not talk too much about it, because that's the whole point of it, we want it to be an executive session.
Yeah, but that's all public information. Okay, so you have to have the players in, everybody.
Okay, so we would invite the Open Space Committee on Monday at 7. And whoever from Greenbelt would want to come.
I would think that would be an integral part of the whole thing. You have to have Greenbelt.
We will be there. Do you want our whole, all 9 of us, or 8 of us, or whatever, or do you want just a select?
If you that's up to you. You would have to post a meeting, because yeah. If you, yeah.
Our chairperson is away now on a family emergency, so I will be in touch with her about that. She would have been here tonight, but that's not happening.
Are you a vice chairperson?
Guess that would be me.
It is what it is, but anybody, talk to Mike to make sure the meeting's posted for the selectman's office.
So then you can deliberate while you're there.
The selectman's office at 7 o'clock on Monday night, an executive session.
Well, we actually could meet in here, so it's
Fine.
Whatever.
It is, just make sure you get that
Yeah,
posting right,
yeah.
wherever it is, so it's.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ask one question. If the 15th is that date with the CPC, right?
Mhm.
If there's a snowstorm or something like that, and that CPC meeting is canceled, shouldn't you say until after this topic is discussed by CPC?
We already voted on it. If there's a snowstorm.
Pray for rain.
Yeah. But see, that's the minutia we get into, and that's the reason why we don't want to extend things like that. If there's a snowstorm, but then if a tree falls down, and then my dog ate my homework, you know what I mean? It just goes on so long.
Copy of the documents as it pertains to this proposed project from the CPC.
Well, I have that.
I'm not looking for,
Open space.
I'm not looking for any documents.
You're not looking for anything, you've got everything you have there.
Well, no, I'm not, well, I would say to the Greenbelt people and the open space people, they've been negotiating and/or strategizing about this, that it would probably be important to bring every single piece of information
The more, the better, yeah.
pertaining to this, so then you could educate the Board of Selectmen, who are going to then, in future time, be voting to accept this or not.
You don't need it prior to the meeting, you just need it after the meeting.
Yeah, I would say.
Thanks.
Thank you. Make a motion to accept the street opening permit at 98 Bachelor Street as all the conditions stipulated
Discussion,
on the permit.
all in favor? Aye. Item
The budget.
E, okay. Andy? Yeah. Everyone always says, my stuff is so important.
Can you review, can we just start, I know we've had a couple of meetings with the other questions that come up. Any concerns?
No, not really.
I know they had a concern because I talked to one of their members, they wanted an understanding of the shifts between, and I think they got that explanation.
They discussed that before I came down here, and they're awesome.
So, the shifts in expenses between selectmen, town manager.
Oh, okay.
And salaries too. I mean, they're just changes, we didn't really do it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
From FinCom? No.
Yeah, I have some.
No questions on the budget.
Wow, before I came down.
Wow, okay.
So I have some questions. So the budget that, now, we're working on budget that's dated 2/5. Okay, we have two, and with one revision, one that was 118, now it's 2/5. Okay, so the questions I have is that this does not have any salary increases at all with, yet. You gave us that information separately. So, things like salary and wages for the Conservation Commission. They requested 28,076 and 18.
Mr. Kemper, what line, where?
Oh, sorry, page 2.
Page 2, okay.
Conservation, number 10. Yeah, so then,
What's the increase?
so it goes from, approved was 28,615. Now a salary, and this is, and I've noticed a few of these. So there's a salary now increase of 30 to $1,400 around, without any raise. Why is there an increase in that? Now you don't have to give me one in that particular.
One educated guess, I think they want to.
I'm pretty sure that is it.
Okay, but that's fine, but I want to, so I was just using this as an example. I would want an explanation on this budget, so we have a better understanding of it, of any increases in salary before we even add any
Additional,
COLAs.
yeah.
I want to have, so that now to go down planning budget.
11, no,
Yeah,
same thing.
11, the same thing. I mean, I want a written understanding of why these particular lines have gone up.
Well, it turned out that I had about 20 line items down the bottom of the budget, and it wasn't in the print section, so I forgot to put that out.
So you have an explanation.
Okay, so if we could grab that, that would be my only, my question on this one.
So
And
is
then,
it on the actual email?
Like number 18. Look at 18.
yeah, there was another one, yeah. So I
A
need,
significant
yeah, I
amount,
need to
yeah.
know what's going on. And I'm not questioning it, I just wanna know what the backup is. Hey, we need more hours, we've noticed this, like, the inspection department, you know, we need more hours because there's more building, I don't know.
It's all, he has, like, he has.
Okay.
Fine, I just want them.
Did the, this one is, perhaps somebody knows, the line item 20, the animal control, has Newburyport asked for an increase?
I think we're in a contract, and that was a contracted amount.
But that's up.
It goes up from 21.5 to 23, 6.98%. Well, you know what? Any contractual things like that, I would actually like an understanding of that too. Hey, in the contract it says it goes up whatever it is, just so we.
Is that for salary and expenses?
Yeah, no, salary and wages. The expenses stayed the same. It's just salary.
Well, there are no expenses
Oh, I'm
because
sorry, I'm
we're
sorry.
providing
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
the vehicle.
I'm looking. I went down to the harbor master thing, and just that harbor master thing. Those numbers are a little fluid too. I'm working with the guy in Salisbury. He sent over those bills that we got. Right. Yeah, and then we're gonna try to. We just brought those numbers down, so those numbers are gonna go up a little bit, not much.
Which numbers are going to go up?
The harbor master salary and wages.
Oh,
and expenses.
I mean, I had a comment about that in the just we had 3 pump outs and it cost like $800.
Because
So it's like $250 a pump out.
there's a whole process about it. We have, because it was new.
Oh, I know,
You
but
know what I mean?
all I'm saying is this year we did not get our money's worth.
No, but yes, because it's reimbursable. So it all depends on who you're talking to.
Okay.
The state could say, yes, it is, because those people didn't dump it into the river, and we're giving you the money back anyway.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Not 100%.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But that's a good point. Okay.
And it was a new program, and it got started late, and
Right.
all those pump outs are due to because we're sitting down here trying to educate people also. We gave them the lists, you know what I mean? There was more than just pumping people out. We're educating people, meeting with people, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot more to that. Yeah, that's actually, yeah, but I want an understanding of that. Why the salary?
DPW, the salary line item actually went down.
Yeah, why? I mean, you wouldn't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't mean to put you on the hot seat. I'm not even thinking that you would have an answer for me tonight. So anything like that, I like to just like know what our budget is. You know what I mean, and get the information from them. I'm almost positive all of our contracts, you know, they have increases. So why, you know, what was approved last year? Why do we feel that we need less money this year? Huh? Yeah, I know. That's the only things I have about it. And you mind if I go on a little bit more?
Well, yeah. Okay. How long?
Me?
Okay. Okay.
Let's talk about the DPW. We had a. I would like. Okay, so we have salary and wages, overtime, ICE, building operating expenses. Okay, and then we have town building improvements. I want to know what that means and what they have planned for that money this year. Children's Castle Operating Road Improvement Program. I'd like to talk about the road improvement program and the highway, sidewalk, and trees. I want a detailed explanation of how that money is going to be spent this year. We have a lot of guardrails that we started, then we stopped that program, and we diverted some money from the streets to that. I want to know exactly, with an emphasis on finishing the guardrail program.
I just wanted to add that we didn't factor in last year our savings from our operating expenses of town buildings related to, we're not paying for electricity now. And that was never, last year, we didn't factor in those savings. This year, I think we should factor in those savings. Well, we had savings of approximately 50,000 last year.
Get the updated, list from Rick, he prepared the next year's.
So
I didn't see that yet,
So
no.
whatever that line, so I would assume that town buildings operating expenses, the electricity would be coming out of that,
That would be my guess.
okay? So I'd like to decrease that by the amount of money we're going to be saving in electricity.
Or at least approximately, yeah. Yeah.
I wanna say
Yeah.
80%?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
80%. But our projected savings, I wanna decrease that line by 80%. Whatever the number is, it is.
Because we can't guarantee that it's gonna be as sunny as it was, you know.
So 80,
Yeah.
wanna do
Yeah.
75 then? We don't scare too many people?
All right, 75, okay. But I think that's all worth doing, yeah.
Yeah, so let's do it by 75. Decrease that by 75%.
Whatever the
amount
with
that's
the
projected
savings from
savings.
75%, decrease the operating, yes.
Make sure it's on.
Rick has prepared a spreadsheet on that. I mean, obviously, you want the, just the, it's in, I will say the second year, our savings were less because it wasn't as sunny as the first year.
Mhm.
And so, whereas last year, we got about a kind of a rolling average of about $45,000. This year was down to like 37.
Oh, that much less, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it was, two things happened. Number one is the price of electricity, went down a little bit.
Okay.
Delta was smaller, and it was not as sunny.
So, are we projected to save should we take last year's savings or average the last 2 years, and then say take 75% out of it? So, put 45 and 37, average them out, and then get that number for projected savings of this year, and then take 75% of that number to give us some
What I'll do right now,
cushion.
I'll get you a copy of it. I'll just print out a copy, and you can look at it, and then you have to make a decision tonight.
But we want to give Andy some direction.
Yeah, okay.
Let me print out a copy of it.
We can figure that out in a second.
But what do you want to do?
I like 75% of
Of
the
the
average, yeah.
Excellent, me too. So it is what it is, so you'll get that information. Okay, what else? So that's all I had. I had questions about why I want backup material, exactly why these things were going up and going down. And on the DPW, and he answered the questions about the cruisers for us, so that, another question. And electricity, the 2 years average at 75%, and that has to be taken out of there. It would be disingenuous if we didn't, because that's what we told the townspeople.
Right.
And I want to know about a detailed, what we're going to be doing this year for roads, sidewalks, trees, and guardrails.
And I said I was going to give an update on the one of our other agenda items on monies that have been left from previous years, and one of those is related to the roads, so, to the roads.
Okay, that's it.
On number 15, police salary rate. So 2018 current approved budget it says 817.
Yeah.
That's the number I have.
You said 825.
That's a revised budget since the contract was.
For 2018?
No, he's talking
I'm
about.
sorry, I was talking about that.
I said 2018.
For some reason,
So I'm looking at the expenditure report from Lori, and she said that's the budget amount. This says
just the year-to-date thingy, yeah. So that must be the actual,
So why don't we talk to Laurie about it, and ask somebody?
no, but I would think that,
I'm asking Andy.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to mention while you figure it out.
So the other part to that is, you said the budget year 2 of the contract is in fiscal 19, but the year 1 cost for the contract you said was $35,000. So if you add $35,000 to whichever one of those two numbers is right, that's way more than 827.
Say that, you lost me, Joe, so,
Okay, say the 816 is correct.
okay, okay,
He said the increase was 35,000 for this year, not for next year. Okay, so next year's gonna need more than 35,000.
correct.
So add 35,000 plus to 816, okay?
So it's gotta be 70 at
That's
least.
way more than 827.
Where do you get 827 though?
That's the requested amount for next year.
No, it's not, it's 869.
Oh, I got the wrong copy, sorry.
Did you say 25?
Yeah, no, I had 2 copies.
Okay.
I apologize. 869, you're right. Okay, sorry.
So that's approximately,
So how much is that?
53,000.
So that could be, but it
That-
depends off of what base? Off of 840 or, so I'm back to my base question.
Right, and we don't know that so let's look back at the contract is right here.
I mean, I'm sure 869 is correct for year 2, with, if the 816 is correct, but.
Yeah, because the way we've structured the new contract, the 2019's increase is 2.5 versus so it'll be less than 35,000 in the second year. It might be.
Yeah, the amount of increase.
It might be
is right.
28.
Yeah.
So I think the amount of increase is probably correct.
Right,
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, so, and it was the question, so it's
825, you mean? You said 825 was the requested for this year.
Now he's talking about fiscal year 18.
Yeah, and this one says 816.
Okay, Deb, did you figure it all out?
No, not quite.
You figured the salaries out, but you haven't figured the approved budget for 18 yet. Okay,
we're not gonna solve it.
you're not gonna solve it right now, let's move on.
Wait a second, is that the number on the expenditure report? Okay, I'll check it.
She has a
I have, yeah, if you, I agree. I see 825 as the total budgeted police salary and wages also, so. It's a question of, Andy, is it 825 or is it 816? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you wanna give, what do you wanna do about, information about, do you wanna have him put some COLA things in there and see how it affects stuff, or what do you wanna do? We still early on that? Excuse me?
We know what the number is.
Yep.
That's, Andy, that's the number that, that is the payroll. Does a COLA affect, you know, if you give a particular percentage raise, is it affecting any, is there anything else that's affected? Pension or anything like that? How much of an effect is that relatively minor?
For pension, yes, it does affect it.
But, okay. Anything else besides pension?
Well, depending on what you do with health insurance, it'll obviously affect the health insurance line item, but it also impact the OPEB flight.
How so? How so?
Well, I mean, last year you increased it from 60 to 65.
Okay, that, but in other words, just an across-the-board wage change shouldn't affect the OPEB, right, or no?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Potentially, depending on what you do with health insurance, it will impact
Okay.
the OPEB afterwards.
Okay. All right, where are we now? We've been jumping around a lot here.
Okay, so we're timeline for assessing responsibilities to staff we haven't done, and then we have then done.
Appointments, and then my little report about
Yep.
warrant articles.
Yep. Timeline for reassessing responsibilities to staff.
That's a,
Thanks.
shows you what,
Whoa.
so, you get what it is? Yeah, I gave it.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. Essentially, is that, if you look at it, it, shows you the first year and the second year. Obviously, they start with what we get for credit, and minus what we get billed. And the third column is the net gain to West Newbury. And then the fourth column is basically just kind of a rolling average. And you can see that we started out high, but it's gone from 48, 49,000 down to 38, 39,000 for the last year. And that's a factor of it being less sunny. You can see that the amount of kilowatts that were produced in 16 were substantially higher than what was produced in 17.
It really jumps around a lot, though. It's interesting. Like,
Well, I mean, it's sunnier in certain months.
November is literally half as much.
Well, no, so for solar production, it's in the summertime, our high producing.
Oh, I understand it, but it's,
Right now, it's like.
I know, it's just interesting
Does
that
it mean-
it
does
does
it have-
jump that much.
Does it have, I know it has to do with the sunlight. Does it have to do with the strength of the sun?
Yes, the angle, yes.
Yeah, because that matters. In the wintertime, it's not as strong.
December, it's 22 versus you could have 66 in August.
So what do you want to do?
Take 75% of the average.
Yeah,
You gonna do that? You want me to?
oh, I got it.
And give that number to Andy to put into the budget, and then give that, and Andy will give it to Gary for an explanation of why we decreased that line item. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Tom asked me to put that in.
Why?
Oh, for the solar,
Same
for
thing.
this, oh, they wanted to separate it out.
All electricity bills? Whatever they want. Okay, we're gonna talk about this all night. Okay, so is it our understanding that we're asking Gary, we're taking whatever this 75% of average is out of,
Oh, it's building operating expenses.
yeah, we're all on, with the understanding that that's where the electricity bills get paid?
I have to check.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna take that money out of that line item. And you can tell that to the FinCom too. If they wanna do it some other way and pull out, I don't know what they want to do, but make sure that they.
But then we don't have a historical, I think it's stupid to create a new one.
I would agree that too, but I just wanna make sure they understand what we're doing. I would tell the FinCom what we've done, and then you need to obviously tell Gary what we've done, because that. So if that number hasn't decreased, where's that money going?
Okay, so 32.8 So we'll take 32,800 from the building and operating expenses. Where has that money gone? It hasn't gone anywhere.
It's been zeroed out.
It's where, it's in our, it's in, you know, it's going to our free cash, you might say.
I'd like to know, that'd be interesting to see how much has been zeroed out, how much was left in that before it was zeroed out up to the last three fiscal years. Because we haven't been able, because they budgeted to pay for the electricity, but we didn't have to.
But does this money go back into that line item? No, I would say not.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But so, our electric is being paid somewhere else, so our bills have decreased, but we have not decreased that line item.
Exactly.
So that money hopefully has been zeroing it out into free cash. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Report on status of past warrant articles or appointments?
Yeah, do that, because it applies to to the budget. It's related to that. If my laptop battery is still going, hang on. What's that? So the take-home message, Andy and I went through several unexpended special and annual town meeting articles, and there's about 25,000, I'm going to give the details in a second, about 25,000 that will zero out to, can be zeroed out to free cash, the unexpended remainders from the articles that, and there's 30,000
Aggregate?
in aggregate total, yeah. Here we go. Okay. I didn't know. So the big item is that there's approximately 35,000 from the library windows, which was a 2014 CPC funded item, and that will go back to the CPC because that project is done.
Have you and Andy, when discussing this, set out the mechanisms for all this to be put in motion, or do we need to do that tonight?
I talked to Lori about it, and she's
So it's
just
all
gonna,
gonna be
yeah,
done?
it's gonna be done, yeah.
Okay, after we talk about it, can we get an update in a month and make sure it's all been done?
Well, I think she plans on doing it,
Yeah. It'll go to zero it out
So
to
then
free
just ask
cash,
it at
yeah.
year end, make sure that it's done.
So that's one big item, and so there's some dump truck things, some truck things, annex HVAC, some plow additions and so forth. So four items that add up to about 27,000. That will go to the general operating to free cash ultimately. And there were five big items from some from 2 or 3 years back, which are still to be used. For example, there's 30,000 that's labeled library outside, and that Gary says that is going to be used for trim. That he is going to use that for trim. The 67,000 related to the paid school, and I think knowing that we may need some electrical upgrades there. That's good money that we will be able to use for that. There is $54,000 from a special town meeting article in 2 years ago from 416, 54,000 on the roads, and so that has not been expended. So we have to remember that that's there if there's requests for more roads funding. 54,000. 45,000 that the finance department is going to use for the purchase of new finance software. That is still there. And the final item, there's 39,000 that's labeled pipe stave, and that's actually was directed towards the town apartments. 39,000 that may be used in the future when if we are able to transfer the property to the DHCD or however that
How much is there?
takes place. 39,000. They may ask that we do some other capital expenditures, or they may ask that we have a capital reserve, and that could certainly be used for that. So basically, we're going to get about 27,000 back to the general fund. The CPC will get about 37,000. The rest of the stuff is going to be used.
Did you say the fire department somewhere?
I don't have a fire department thing, no.
There's 24,000 from the 2016 radio repeaters, and there's also, I don't know if you look at the water department, but
I didn't look at theirs, no. I let them deal with that. But I didn't see the,
What was that money
The
appropriated for, Joe, in the water department?
in 2016, says water hydrants, 2016, roadway cleaning, roadway cleaner, the water tower. They did that. So,
Yeah, yeah. Now, when that's zeroed back, the water department, does that go back to the ratepayers? These are articles that come out of raise and appropriate and/or free cash.
water free cash.
it's water free cash.
Water free cash.
Yeah, it's not our money, it's their money. It's still money.
Well, they might want to be aware of that so they can zero it out and then they can be able to use it on something else in their free cash rather than have it be encumbered by a thing that's already been finished.
Well, they gave us a list of warrant articles to carry over. And then I know there was one that was kind of a notation at the bottom, one to carry over, close out. It's kind of a small note that I missed.
You have
So that'll close up.
safe dispatch on your list.
I didn't see that one, but I'll go back and.
There was an invoice that Laurie showed me today. Somebody put a note on for what purpose? It was for some video equipment. He's charging for that article.
But you can't. Huh? Why can't you?
But it's for closed circuit television cameras.
Well, I understand, but yeah, but I thought that article was specifically for the boards. So how can then you use it on camera? So that would be like.
Yeah, that actually is a good question. I don't know what's the motion.
Yeah, so I mean that would be like I moved to $2,000 for a truck, and then you get the truck, and then I get whatever.
A trailer for the truck.
Yeah, a trailer for the truck. You can't do that. I would say, let's put the motion, you can't do it. You can't get cameras for dispatch on an article that was supposed to be for the board. Isn't that, You can't do that, right?
I think it was pretty directed.
That was pretty, yeah, it was for the console,
You
yeah.
can't do that. I would inform them he can't do that. I mean, legally, you can't. Somebody, I mean,
Okay.
thanks, Art, that was a lot of work. Appointments?
Yeah, appointments.
Make a motion to appoint Paul Delaney to the Mill Pond Committee?
For a term expiring June 30, 2020.
I would take that friendly amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to appoint Gary Roberts to the Finance Committee for a term ending June 30, 2019.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You also?
All
Yes,
set.
thanks, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Hey, can you do me a favor? They might
Oh,
ask. Give them this piece
none
of
that
paper
I
and
don't
tell
think
them that we
apply
just
to him,
appointed
no.
this guy to the FinCom. And now, we just appointed that Mr. Roberts to the FinCom, so it's Mary's responsibility to tell him and tell him what he needs to do and then tell the FinCom chairperson, so then they can be put on
The email list, yeah.
email list. Okay.
Bless you.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of dated January 3rd, January 6th, and January 22nd of 2018. On?
I do too, yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of January 3rd and January 6th.
All in favor? Aye.
So the minutes of the 22nd, I don't know, have the same thing, but item J.
I also had, there were several full names and addresses of people, they're just not, just names are kind of, we just need to put the names on.
And on item J, it says Selectman Kemper moved to accept the payroll and invoice warrants. I don't think.
No, I didn't. Thank you, Joe, for thinking of me. I need all the help I can get.
That was a good pickup.
So,
Yeah.
I probably did, and Archie seconded.
And I would have seconded it,
Not as
yeah.
good as me finding it was 2 hours and 30 seconds.
Okay, so I moved to.
Move with those amendments.
Right.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Make a,
We did? Oh, gosh, okay, yeah, all right.
timeline, yeah, we did. Timeline and reassigning responsibilities to staff. Why is it here? That was just kind of a. No, that was just, I know why it's here, that was just kind of a way to start the conversation. You want to start it?
Sure. Well, I mean, we have people, we changed responsibilities, and we're waiting for the new office to be done and equipped.
Mm-hmm.
I can give a approximate timeline that will be equipped, finished. Well, it's done now, but it will be equipped, right, say March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So from an office standpoint, that's when that will be done. So the question is, with the extended start date, do we want to change sooner or wait or not? I think that's the question. So we could do it as soon as March 1st.
Did we tell any individuals when explaining their new roles and responsibilities that Angus would be, or not Angus, now it's Angus, but the town manager would be part of those? Timeline in some respects, did we tell anybody saying like, hey, you're gonna start this position?
I think the board told Annie,
Mhm.
I did the talking.
Yeah.
That at the time we thought the person would start
March 1st.
Yeah, whatever it was, and so she would have at least 2 months prior to the start date, and then 2 months after the start date. She'd have a
And that was gonna be her, her wondering if she wanted the job or not. So how do you wanna change that? Do you wanna change that?
Well, I think the question is, just not where the individual for a second. Do we want to put the whole, all the changes in motion?
Yes.
Not having a manager?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, which we were going to do anyway.
Right.
Okay, which we were gonna do anyway, now it's just when we do it. Because just to give you an example of Annie, we were gonna do that 2 months prior to the individual, starting, and 2 months, so do we wanna stick with that timeline?
Yeah, so that'd be 4 months before he starts, if we did it March 1st.
Or do you wanna wait until April 1st, or May 1st?
I don't know what value, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
So, why don't, but let, do you wanna wait until, our next meeting to really decide the dates, just so you have a better understanding of really when it's gonna be finished? Because when we say dates, that means something to people's lives. So
It's,
I would-
yeah,
I would
it's
like to make-
important,
I
yeah.
would like to make sure it's really set in stone.
And I don't think
And I
going
would
the
like-
other way 2 weeks is gonna make any difference.
Yeah, and I would like to make sure that after it's done, that we have then a meeting with those individuals whose roles and responsibilities are going to change, to have like a refresher course, so to speak, on what
Well,
those.
we should have a refresher, and we should kind of like, not just say, okay, on whatever date. Like,
There you go.
Everybody changes, that's not a good way to do it.
That's my
It
point
should
being.
be done in increments.
So let's do it, yeah, so let's come up with that plan by our next meeting, and then give us the implementation date, but something around between March 1st and, April 1st. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are kind of anxious to know, though, right?
So they are, okay, but listen, they are anxious to know. We voted on a contract with our town manager on Saturday. Now we have hard dates, okay? So we're moving as fast as we physically possibly could do. We finalized it on Saturday, we're meeting tonight. Then we're saying, yes, we care, right? So let's come up with a detailed plan that, with respect to the employees, next time say, hey, listen, on this date, we're going to do the change, a soft change, or however we want to do it, then the hard change is on that day. We're gonna
We're
keep.
gonna talk about that tonight. I mean, I'd say, it all started today, because that sheet's the one that has expanded hours, so she's physically moving. So whatever the date is, if it's March 1st, let's just say that as an example.
Mhm.
If she would move thereabouts, her new responsibilities are she's gonna take on room calendars, use of facilities, so those would be the first two things that she would take on. And, Mike would have to plan the room calendars, and Mary
Yeah,
would use
training.
Yes, just not say, here you are.
But there is training that is involved in it, and while the individuals are leaving their other jobs to train those individuals, they won't be doing their regular jobs.
Right, so then as an example, Mary gives up, use of facilities, which is a chunk of hours, then, she can begin her new areas.
So you're saying, no, we'll do it, we'll do it in stages. Annie first, starting March 1st, she'll start being trained in her new position on March 1st, and just won't be left out on an island.
Right.
And then we'll come up, our next meeting with how we're going to train her and a little bit better understanding, so we could present that to her, so she could then have a better understanding.
Okay.
Does that feel, I'm trying,
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk it out,
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, then yeah, it starts March 1st, and she'll start being trained in that new position, be trained in the new position, at the new position, on March 1st, and we're gonna come out after talking, I guess you wanna take the lead on this, talking to Mary, talking to Mike, exactly what those new roles and responsibilities are, and get a better understanding of it, and how you're gonna interface, how they're gonna train her in that? That sound all right with you? Archie?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, one of us has
Yeah.
to do it.
I'm just thinking, we're already okay, if you think all the stuff's gonna be ready to go, that's all.
He's
Yeah.
our,
He said 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
Today's the 5th.
So that's,
It's ordered, right?
it's ordered, yeah.
so, but listen,
Just one thing is, if you wanted Diane involved in this training, she will be on vacation for the first week in March. So the last,
The 1st of March is a Thursday, so.
it's like that from that Thursday and then that first week, that whole first full week. So she wouldn't be back until after.
so March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, so it's the 3rd to the 10th, 11th, she won't be back until the 12th. No, the week of the 17th is a Saturday, so it can't be the week of the 17th. So hold on, so you're scheduled for the 19th, the week of the 19th,
Yeah.
and you'll be off that week. Good, that's working out perfect. So why don't we start this April 1st?
Why don't we wait till April 1st?
Yes, after all that, yeah.
All that.
Well, we can start it,
Yeah.
see how it works and what can take place.
Well, you know what would be nice? Why don't we do this? Let's start it tomorrow. I'm being facetious in that respect, but let's start it now. Wait, no. Let's start it now. Instead of giving a date, right, and saying, hey, let's start it on that date, having, yeah, or just having an understanding, saying, hey, Mary going, hey, working with Annie and saying, hey, Annie, I have an extra half an hour. You want to work on, boom, so I can train you a little bit about it.
Right. So not,
And Mike doing it.
but not actually taking over the job until she's moving.
Exactly.
It'd be better if she's in her new place, space.
Yes.
I kind of think so, yeah.
She has to go over.
Yes, it'd be better.
I think because you won't be doing it in your own,
It's all about filling out the form and checking the boxes.
No.
Use of facilities, it's all about filling out a form.
You don't fill out the form, the applicant does.
Yeah, it's all about filling out a form. That's what it's all about. And she has to disseminate that information to someone else so they can properly fill out that form. And then that form can come back to that individual, and that form has to be complete and has to be looked over and all the boxes checked and all that, so they have a better understanding. And if it's not, then she has to follow up again with the police chief or whomever they have to do, or just keep on pushing it back to the individuals. One thing I want to do, how much repeat stuff do you get from forms, right? Of people coming back and having them done. One thing I would like, you know, you ever use it, I show up, I won't have a use of facility.
It's a lot.
I understand, but I have a use of facilities form. Here, Mr. Kemper, this is what you have to fill out. Okay, then I bring it back, it's incomplete. And then, how long do you spend going over with them? I wanna make sure that these are so, whatever, even if we have to change the use of facilities form, they don't come back, when they're sent out, they're not even looked at until they're complete.
Well, I think that having one person do the job.
What's that?
versus two is going to
Yeah.
reduce a lot of that.
But you understand what I'm saying by that?
I do.
Because I deal with these in every other town, and you don't come back. They don't want, you're not even allowed in the office until it's complete. You know what I mean? Because people just want to,
Okay, but Glenn, that's
So
really
I
not the
think it
point.
will change when we have one person dealing with it. Now they got Mike's office, and they got my office, and right, phone there. There's a lot of different.
Okay,
Let's go with
okay.
April 2nd.
Listen to me, all we've established was, she can't start her training until she's been sitting in a particular desk. So I guess I'll have to say okay to that. So we'll start it all on April 2nd when she's sitting in that particular desk. I'll
No, it
agree to
isn't
that.
the desk, it's the putting it in the computerized calendar and so forth.
April 2nd.
Okay, all right.
how is this information going to be disseminated to our employees? Because now tomorrow morning, there are employees waiting for this conversation to happen. So, as I see it right now, when that individual walks over to Mary's office, Mary's going to say to her, it's all going to start on April 2nd. So if you feel comfortable with that, or if you would like to talk to her or whatever, that would be good, because I want it to be on April 2nd, your training will start, and you'll have as much support as you need to be able to start the new position, and we're gonna start phasing these in over a period of time. I just seen what, because I was been here all day, and I've been, that July 1st date was, I don't know where everybody got that information from. I was asked by 4 individuals being in this building, by employees, what the heck's happening with us, because now he's starting on July 1st. Yeah, it just, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it meant to you. I don't know. But it was a big conversation over here. Okay.
Okay, payroll. There's some signatures, that's all. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Second.
Yeah, I had some.
Well, did I answer the question you had about the protocol?
Yes, you did, okay.
Is that warrant in there for him paying for that cameras in this?
Well, see, I actually had a question of, I wrote for what purpose, and I assume this is it, because it's Hunt's photo and video. That's it. I red flagged that too.
We can't tell him how to spend his money, right, after it's appropriated, but we can tell him that he can't use a source that was not appropriated for. So that's what we need to inform him. I mean, as long as he cannot take it out of that article.
The fund is called New Dis.
The camera is in there trying to use the leftover money for the console. You can't do it. What does it say? What does it say? New what?
It's called New Dispatch. It sounds like a band.
The fund is New Dispatch. Okay, so why don't we start this way? I want to hold that. There's no payment on that. Right? Right? Right?
Until we're sure what
No,
this.
but it's just right. It has to be yes or no. And then we need to find out what the fund New Dispatch means.
Yeah.
Before we look like idiots, that might be coming out of the right one. I don't know.
It might be, but it might not be.
Exactly.
So
we need to find out what New Dispatch means. So if we could ask Laurie what that fund means, and if it has anything to do with the new console, we have to tell her that you.
yeah, I'll.
Take a look at the
So
article.
we'll put this one at the bottom. Okay. This was just I should have asked the chief when he was here. This was informational for me. This was a bill from the Commonwealth to the police department for pistol permits. So does that we collect money and then it gets funneled to the state, or how does that work? I don't know. No, those were, and we talked about the pump out vote. What do you think, Glenn?
Well, it makes no sense to me for unpaid firearms license fees. I don't even know what that means.
Well, in other words, maybe we didn't reimburse the state, because it's,
I don't even know what that means, unpaid license fees. Trying to figure who I pay my money to for mine.
I don't, okay, so this one will, I'll ask Lori about that one tomorrow.
I'd like to go into executive session after this, if that's all possible.
To discuss the pump out vote.
Nothing. I know you have an early flight, Joe, so I'm just trying to make it as long as possible for you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I went to bed. I was in bed. I saw the whole thing. You know,
No? No, we, follow up, assignments, so, so what were we gonna do for the, lodging house application? We're gonna,
you're gonna give us your opinion. I deny.
he's got it, yeah.
Yep, fine. I'd like to know why the bicentennial committee hasn't come in.
What happened?
Somebody can contact them.
You were there when I told her, and you said you're on Monday night. I am, and said, yeah. That's what you were.
Well, you've seen the list.
I didn't follow up and kept going.
But no, she came over and she said, could you, I was sitting here when she said to somebody, could you put me, I have house guests. Could you
Well,
put me
that
on
was
for our
last,
next-"
when
Yeah.
we were late because of the
Yeah.
Gill
Can
thing.
you put
So,
me
so
on-
she said, can
you
I
put
come
me
on next week?
And we
Yeah.
said yes, and then she came in and you told her she's on this week.
I did, yeah. And she gave us the warrant article. I said, well, this is great.
Okay, so if it, I'm just, that's another thing, an action thing, to figure out why they're asking to come in again.
Okay.
Now it's, I mean, they have the article now.
I do have to prepare the liquor license. Should have done that today for your signatures. So.
When is the event?
Do that, but it's until March, so.
Oh. Okay, I don't see anything else, other than the action items that Andy had about the budget we would like to get back, that information.
Rose, Terry.
Rose is gonna take care of her own
That's
thing.
not our problem, yeah.
That's one of those things like the application, we spend much too time filling it out for everybody. You know, that's my point, that they have to take responsibility. You know, I think we helped her enough. She needs to, Mike's not there to be.
Yeah.
The Page School reconstruction, are we gonna put out any kind of a notice?
No,
We're gonna wait.
what we're doing, the next, before any other notices can be sent out, we need to have a meeting with the superintendent and to have a combined meeting to get a better understanding of what their roles and responsibilities are gonna be, and make sure that the timeline they'll be able to be met. For future, I was gonna say, well, at the end, I was gonna say, we need to remind everybody through email about articles to do on the 8th. Or, if you have something special, contact the Board of Selectmen, because they'll extend it. That's what we said tonight. I didn't have that down there, but I just said I was gonna have Mary send a reminder out to people and say, articles were due on the 8th, but if you don't, now you have to say, because we voted that it would be open to everybody.
You don't have to tell everybody that.
If they come to us with a special request.
Okay.
We don't want to.
Everybody knows that they're 8th, right?
I'm sure I will send
I would, In the future, this is a future, I would ask that we look into how we disseminate information about budgeting schedules to individuals. So this might be something, individuals and committees. I think things were just sent out to like department heads, and like no boards and committees understood our timeline. So somebody like Open Space didn't even know that we had an 8 timeline. We couldn't find it posted on our website today.
I think we had,
Yes, but Andy didn't even send it to her. He didn't send it to CPC. I mean, that would be an important committee to send it to. He didn't send it to them. She did not have it. Yes, but because she did her.
But she's here,
She
yeah.
did her own homework and.
She's in the building,
So that's all I'm
yeah.
saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying we can do better at that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Yep, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. It's unbelievable when this new town managers. Everything's gonna be, the roads are gonna be gold.
I'm gonna have hair.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.